Welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness and our Wellness Advocate interview series. It is a beautiful day to be an American, right, guys? And millions of people around the world were able to sigh a sigh of relief, feel a little safer being who they are in their everyday life. And it just, as a social worker, it makes my heart happy. With the announcement of Joe Biden as president and Kamala Harris as vice president. I should say, I think it's still elect right now, but they're moving in. We know they're moving in. All right. So last week we had the pleasure to talk with Tiara Cross, and obviously very timely and important about Black mental health. That was beautiful. I hope to have her back again soon. Continuing on the topic of the importance of mental health with all populations, sizes, ages, cultures. Today we are going to have my friend Mallory on.
Yeah, guys. So today we have Mallory Edwards. So welcome, Mallory. We're super
excited.
And if you don't mind, just give us all a brief introduction, background, and just kind of your current roles in the area of just overall wellness.
Yeah, so I am a kindergarten teacher. I work in my hometown, which is so much fun, and I'm basically in my dream job. I have been teaching kindergarten for 4 years. Well, this is my 4th year. Before that, when I got out of grad school, I was a part-time Title I tutor at another local school district. So I worked with kindergarten through 2nd grade there. And yeah, now I'm a full-time kindergarten teacher. And this year I have one of the inclusion rooms, which means I have some kiddos with identified special needs that are on IEPs, individualized education plans. So that, kind of brings a whole nother element to what I'm doing, and I absolutely love it. I told my principal that I want the inclusion room every year. So did it freeze?
So it's a good thing that I decided to mute my mic because my dogs started howling. Mallory, 2 things. Can you explain what a Title I tutor is? Because not everybody knows. And then my next question is, why a teacher and why kindergarten?
Okay, so a Title I school is a school that receives funding because they're under a certain income level, like average income level. For example, in my district where I work now, our population is at more than a 70% poverty rate. So, or 70% of our people live under the poverty line. So my district, actually, we have free breakfast and lunch for the whole district, which is great because then kiddos aren't, you can't tell which kids would need the free breakfast and lunch. And so everyone just gets free breakfast and lunch. Why a teacher? I kind of always saw myself as being a teacher. Literally, that's the only thing I've ever wanted to be. My mom was a teacher before she had me. When I was born, she worked for my grandpa, but I feel like that kind of always stays with you. And I have just always I've always had like a nurturing, caretaking personality. And that was just kind of my calling. That was just natural to me. And so I had to follow that. It was like I almost didn't even choose it. That's just who I am. And kindergarten, I got the job like less than a week before school started. The year that I started, my daughter was less than a year old, and my boyfriend's brother actually saw the job posting on Indeed and asked my boyfriend if I had heard about it, and I hadn't. And so I applied and got the phone call for the interview and then got the job. So I actually didn't have any field experience during my schooling or student teaching in kindergarten. And now I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I absolutely love this age. Some of the kids have gone to preschool, some of them haven't. It's not a requirement in Ohio that you have to go to preschool. So we have a very wide range. We have a preschool within our district, but like I said, not everyone has to go. So some kids are like, have a ton of experience. Some kids have never been in a school setting before, but yeah, kindergarten is a lot of fun. I get to be goofy and silly all day long, and I love it.
I think whenever people ask Amanda and I, like, what made you be a therapist, or, and it's, I think, we had this, topic in another episode, and just saying, like, it just was something that I was always drawn to. So I hear you say that about, so like, was the kindergarten the grade that you like wanted to teach the most, or was it like it was the one that was available and then you fell in love with it after you started that job?
Yeah, well, I always knew that I wanted to work with young kids. I have worked in daycares a lot, like throughout my schooling. I've worked in daycares, and my certification is preschool to third grade, and then I have, which is K to 12. But my certification is pre-K to 3, and so I knew I didn't want middle school. I knew I didn't want high school. And so really I would have been happy with any of those grades, but now I'm like, I hope I can always stay in kindergarten because I love it so much.
Oh, I love that. So as far as like, in your classroom, you have like your standard curriculum, that core stuff that you have to cover, but with us and our, podcasts really centering around wellness, like what needs are you regularly finding yourself and addressing in your classroom around just student wellness?
So within myself and my students, just like mental wellness and being aware of our mind-body connection and learning when that is off and how to regulate it and when to regulate it. And that is just as much myself as it is my students. When I started, I really wasn't as aware of my mind-body connection. And then just through things that was going on in my personal life, I kind of really was forced to realize that connection. And I mean, teaching is crazy stressful and it's crazy busy, and you're making so many decisions, adjustments, all of that I need to, take breaks and regulate that. So we do a lot of deep breathing, and there's a website that we use often called Go Noodle. It's free and it has brain breaks, and there's a couple channels on there that do like yoga and mindfulness exercises, and I do it along with the kids. One, just as an example, leading by example, being a model, and then two, because I like really need it. So, in order to be an effective teacher, I need to take care of myself as well. And then we also do I'm like, okay, I think that we're all a little hyped up right now. Let's do some deep breathing. And I say, close your eyes if you're comfortable. And it's so cute because I close my eyes, but then I'll open them too. And I see them like sitting crisscross with their clothes and their hands out like this. And it's the sweetest thing in the whole world. And sometimes I even see them doing that on their own. And it is the absolute cutest, heartwarming thing in the world to see. So it's great to see that they're able to use these tools that I'm giving them. I just love it so much.
And they I'm sure that they think of you, like even outside the classroom, like if they use one of those exercises and they're like, oh, I don't know if Mrs. Edwards or Miss Edwards taught us this, and I think I need to use that right now. And then
yeah, that's my hope.
So Mallory, I hear you saying like things that you kind of take initiative in your classroom and do with your students on your own. Do you feel like there is any, elements that you would consider maybe missing from the core curriculum, or you would like to see worked in more, like just as standard across the board?
Yeah, so one thing that I have kind of tried to do myself, and I need to learn more about, and there's definitely more that I need to do, is something that you guys have talked about on your previous episode, is diversity. I just feel like there's so much that we have to fit into our day with the academic standards. It is insane. All the things that we have to fit into our day and into our year to teach these 5 and 6 year olds. But I feel like we really need more diversity, and not just ethnic and racial diversity, but neurodiversity and, different abilities and gender diversity and all that kind of stuff, which I'm happy to say my district is really starting to work towards that. They actually formed an equity committee, and they recently sent out a survey to teachers, staff, parents, and then kids from a certain grade on up, about how they feel about equity in our district. But I feel like we could definitely do more about that. So this summer, I did a Donors Choose campaign, which is kind of like a GoFundMe, but for education, for diverse literature. So there's an educator that I follow on Instagram, and she came out with this diverse reads book list that she has curated that is super duper long, and broken up into different categories. And so I picked books from that list and put it on my Donors Choose campaign, and it got fully funded, which was awesome. And I haven't integrated it super into my curriculum yet, but when my kids have snack every day, I choose a book from there to read. And there's such a wide range. Like I said, gender, race, religion, different religions, different cultures. I'm trying to think of what all. Even like homelessness it addresses. There's some of the books, and poverty. And so I know I need to get better at that, but this is me kind of like dipping my feet in those waters. And so, I eventually want to get more into that, but that's what I would say is probably missing the most, and just learning how to find the time, how to do that with all the other things that we have to include.
So that's something that's internally, or I guess internally driven. Although your school's supportive and your district's supportive, you don't necessarily have a resource handed to you. You are just kind of figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, like here, use this.
So my question is, could you have the option to choose, which I know that's not you, Mallory, but could you have the option to choose to just keep doing things as you do and not include that?
Yeah, I could. And, like I said, we are like really we are starting to step into that world as a district and as a school. But like I said, I feel like there's so much more that could be done. And I'm hoping that maybe I can kind of lead by example to other teachers in my school, and like, hey, this is pretty, not, it's not like another extra thing added onto the plate. And it has so many benefits, if we can reach them from 5, 6 years old, and just to learn about differences and how, I don't want you to be colorblind. I want you to see the differences. I want you to appreciate those differences. And like I said, not just about race and ethnicity and culture, but everything. And, how we can learn from each other. I mean, our culture, our American culture, I feel like is definitely moving that way. But if we could, like I said, start them from this age to see those differences, then, I mean, wow, how awesome are they going to be when they're teenagers and older and voting and raising their own children and, getting involved in politics and all that stuff. How great that would be. So I'm just trying to do my part there.
And that's what I was getting with that question, because depending on where you're at, what your district supports, and what background you are, you might not care to put the effort in, and so you go above and beyond because it's important, and that's why you're here and we're talking to you, because it's so important. And when you said, like, well, I'll say, hey, we're getting kind of hyped up, let's do some deep breathing, or let's do some sit crisscross. And my initial thought is, sometimes when I talk to clients, adults, about that, they'd be like, but you're starting at the beginning. You're starting at the beginning and normalizing this for them. Even if they don't see it at home, they're with you so frequently that it becomes second nature for them. And that's beautiful.
Like I said, I need those breaks just as much as they do. So.
Oh, yes. And it's perfect modeling, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mallory, what tips would you give, like, even if you want to do them separately or all at once, for parents, educators, general public, on how they can support a young child's development?
Well, for sure, between the families and the school, it's so much better when we all work together as a team, because we are all involved in that child's life. So keeping the lines of communication open, and, just whether it's emailing, or like I have a class Facebook page, so parents will private message me on there. Just first of all, keeping those lines of communication open so that the child can see, we're all here to support you, and we're like sending the same kind of message. Another thing that's so super important is like a normal sleep schedule. And I need to get better about that for myself too. Turning off, this is hard. I'm like, I need to listen to this, but turning off the electronics at a certain time at night, and having an established bedtime routine, where you're like winding down, so that when you lay down, you can fall asleep, you can get good sleep. Because, I know, at least for me, if I didn't get good sleep the night before, my mood is not going to be the greatest, and ready to learn and ready to lead that next day. Nutrition, which is another thing that I also need to get better at, is super duper important as well. I should probably drink less coffee and more water, but just making sure that we are nourishing our bodies and giving our bodies what they need so that our brain can function properly. Like I say, and I truly believe, food is medicine. So if you're eating, and this is easier said than done, if you're eating more processed foods than, fresh fruits and veggies, and, just, more nourishing stuff, your brain and your body will function differently, which, like I said, I need to work on that. But I'm getting better. I'm a work in progress, which is another great thing about having the free breakfast and lunch in our district. The kids are given that. And kind of, just knowing that our kids are little sponges and they hear everything we say. So whether or not we think they're listening, there's my daughter, whether or not we think they're listening, they are. And so, yeah, that's so cool. Having a positive attitude about schooling, and, how we talk to others and how we interact with others and being a good listener and being kind and all that kind of stuff, just sending this kind of the same message, between home and school. So kind of like having similar expectations for behavior, whether at home and at school. Not saying that like it has to be super duper strict, but just like the kindness aspect goes a long way for sure. And a lot of adults could use that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like, parent involvement, like, having them super involved and integrating concepts that, and then, from the classroom at home as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Mallory, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it, and you sharing your unique perspective on education and just child wellness. So I know you just gave us tips and for parents, educators, and whatnot, but do you have just any last thoughts, or some people have like a quote that really stuck with them, or something that a colleague might have told them, or just any last thoughts to give our community before we go?
Well, my personal mantra, which I feel you could carry on to any area of your life, is grow through what you go through. That is my personal mantra that I'm going to somehow get tattooed someday. But just, showing our children that, life is hard. You can go through hard things, but that you can grow from that. And there are horrible things that we experience, but that is always a learning opportunity. So just being a lifelong learner, being able to apply what you learn and, kind of improve yourself.
I love that.
All right. Thanks again, Mallory. Hi, Bailey.
Bailey, Amanda says hi. Come here. You can come here.
Hi, Bailey. Can you say hi to everyone?
Hi.
This is Kelsi.
Hi.
Kelsi.
Hi, Kelsi.
Hi.
So, thank you so much. You're welcome back anytime. I value you so much and appreciate your soul. We're soul sisters, I always like to say. But, not, like I said, not every teacher knows the importance of going above and beyond. And we appreciate you and everyone else that does. Make sure to tune in next week. We have a good colleague of mine. Her name's Brittany. She works with alternative therapeutics up here, and she's going to talk about neurofeedback. So kind of getting into that more clinical mental health treatment, right? As you were talking, Mallory, I was like, mind, body, yes. All the dimensions of wellness, yes. You know what? Just get a therapist to support you, because that sounds really overwhelming, right? So we're going to have a therapist here next week, Brittany, to talk about that. So everyone in the community, make sure you comment and give us feedback. We do value that, and we implement it into our sessions and shows. So if there's anything you're looking for, anything like that, let us know. And when you subscribe, you make sure you get updates on when the next episode. Mallory, I know Go Noodle, but can you send me that like diverse reads book list? We will make sure we link it in the show notes today for the listeners, because any resources like that, we always want to share.
Sure.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.